So today's starter involves adding and subtracting fractions. So you can use the link above to watch a clip that works through the answers if you can't remember what to do. Have a go at the questions and look at the answers on the next slide. Mark your work, identify your mistakes and correct them. In today's lesson, we'll be looking at finding missing values. So we're going to be finding missing values in problems involving percentages. So first I'd like you to have a go at the Discover section. So the children are completing a long jump and Alex says that is a 3.75 metre jump. Mr. Lopez says, well done, that is 50% as far as the women's long jump world record. So let's have a look at question 1. A says, what is the world record for women's long jump? And B says that Lee jumps 49 centimetres in the high jump. This is 20% of the world record for men's high jump. What is the world record? Have a look at the questions and have a go, and we'll share our answers in the next slide. Let's have a look at the answers together. So 1A asks, what is the world record for women's long jump? So here it says, I think I have to work out 50% of 3.75 metres. But here it says, I think you need to do it differently. In this question, I know a part and I have to work out the whole. So, which way do you think is the right way to do it? Have a think. Here I can see that I've got 50% of something equals 3.75. So I know that I've got a part and I need to work out the whole. So I've got a bar model and half of it is shaded in, and that is because when we find 50% we divide by 2. So the bar has been split into 2 and the first half has been shaded in because that is how far the jump was, 3.75 metres. And that tells me that I need to work out the other half, the other part of this whole. So because it's divided by 2, I know that I can times the part that I have by 2 to get the whole, because if I had the whole I could divide it by 2 to give me the part that I've already got. So I'm going to times what I have by 2, which is 3.75. So my sum will be 3.75 times 2, and that gives me 7.5. So I know that the world record for women's long jump is 7.5 metres. B asked, Lee jumps 49 centimetres in the high jump, and this is 20% of the world record for men's high jump. And they want to know what is the world record for men's high jump. So I'm looking for 20% of the whole equals 49 centimetres. So I know that 20% is equivalent to 1/5. So you can see that on the bar model, 1/5 has been shaded in the amount in the height that Lee jumped, and the rest is blank. So I've got to find out what the rest is. So to do that, I'm going to do 49 times 5, because I know that I've got 20% and I need to find 100%. So 20% is 1/5, so I've got to find the rest. So 49 times 5, and that is 245. So the world record for men's high jump is 245 centimetres. Let's have a look at the think together. So we're being asked to work out the missing values for question 1. So A is asking 10% of something equals 3. And we know that 10% is equivalent to 1/10. So the bar model has been split into tenths. And we know that 10% is 3, so we can work out 100% by timesing 3 by 10, which gives us 30. So 10% of 30 equals 3. Part B asks us to find 20% of a number, which equals 5. And I know that 20% is equal to 1/5, and you can see that because the bar model has been split into 5 parts. So I can do the number that I know, which is 25% of something is 5, so I can do 5 times 5 because it's 5 parts to equal 25, and I then know that 20% of 25 equals 5. For part C, it's asking us to find 25% of a number, and I know when we're finding 25% of a number we're dividing by 4, so I've split my bar model into 4 pieces. And I know that 25% of my number is 30, so I know that each one of these pieces represents 30. So I can find out my whole by timesing 30 by 4, which gives me 120. So I know that 25% of 120 equals 30. Part 2 says 120 people arrived by bus to watch Sports Day, and this is 40% of the spectators. So it wants to know how many spectators there were in total. So the first thing I'm going to do is acknowledge that 120 people is 40% of the total spectators. And I can see that my bar model here is split into 10, so I need to find out what 10% is to be able to find the whole. So to find 10%, I'm going to divide 40% by 4, because I know 40 divided by 4 is 10. So once I've done that, I can find out what 10% is by dividing 120 by 4, which is 30. So I know that 10% is 30. And to find 100%, I can times 30 by 10, which gives me 300. So I know that there were 300 spectators in total. Our 10%
So I want you to have a
3.
look at the work in your Power Maths books, and once you've completed that work, if you think you need an extra challenge, then you can have a look at this one. So this challenge is designed to make you think, so you need to take a couple of minutes to think about the question, have a read of the information that can help you, and think about what you're being asked to do. Work through each step at a time, and then keep going back to the question before moving on. So it's asking you to find the solution. So it wants to know what is the same and what is different about how you found each solution. So A says, guess my number, and it says, is it 30? And it says, no, but that is exactly 15% of my number. So you could work that one out first, and then work out B, which says, Jen has completed 30% of her 120-mile journey. How far has she travelled? So then you might work that one out and have a look at what you did the same and what you did differently. And then you could move on to looking at C, which says, what is the area of the whole rectangle? And there are two ways that have been suggested to you. So you could try both, or you could use a way that you know, and you can work it out, and then you can see again what is the same and what is different.
If you think you need an extra challenge, then have a go at these questions, and the answers are on the next slide for you to mark your work and make any corrections.
Today's starter is adding and subtracting fractions again, so have a go at these, mark your answers, identify your mistakes and correct them. So in today's lesson we are looking at converting fractions to percentages, and the key words we're going to use today are percent, percentage, equivalent fractions, convert and bar chart. Let's have a look at the discover. So it says 1A says what percentage of the wall is painted orange? So you can see that you've got some of this wall here is painted in orange. And B says Jen and Toshi want to paint 30% of the wall yellow. How many rectangles do they need to paint yellow? So have a go at working that out, and then we'll look at the answers. Let's have a look at the answers together. So I know that the whole wall is 100%. I need to start by figuring out how many rectangles there are on the wall. So I know that there are 25 rectangles on the wall. I then need to work out how much each rectangle is worth. So I'm going to work out 100 divided by 25 because I'm dividing the whole by the amount of rectangles, and I know that equals 4. So I know that that means that each rectangle is worth 4%. So it says I found an equivalent fraction with 100 as the denominator. So you've got 10 25ths is equal to 40 100ths. So 10 rectangles are painted orange. So then you have to work out 10 times 4 because that's how many rectangles you've got times by how much each rectangle is worth, which means that 40% of the wall is painted orange. Let's have a look at part B. So part B says Jen and Toshi want to paint 30% of the wall yellow. How many rectangles do they need to paint yellow? So the whole wall has 25 rectangles, which means we need to find 30% of 25. So to do this, I'm going to do 25 divided by 10, which is 2.5, and that gives me 10%. So 10% is 2.5. So to make that 30%, I'm going to times it by 3. So 3 times 2.5 is 7.5, which means that Jen and Toshi need to paint 7.5 rectangles in yellow.
Let's have a look at the think together. So 1 asks what percentage of each grid is shaded. So for A, you can see that there are 6 squares shaded, and there are 20 squares, so 6 out of 20 squares are shaded. We've then got to turn this into a percentage. So I know that 20% is 1/5. So to make a whole 100%, I have to times by 5. So if I times 20 by 5, it means I have to times 6 by 5 to give me 30. So it gives me 30 over 100, and that gives me 30%. So I know that 30% of the grid has been shaded. Part B, we've got 3 squares out of 30 shaded. So we're going to make this into tenths because we can find a percentage by making it a tenth. So to get from 30 to 10, I have to divide by 3, which means I also have to divide my 3 by 3, so that gives me 1. So that gives me 1/10. And then to make this into 100, I have to times 10 by 10 to get to 100. So I also have to times 1 by 10 to get to 10. So it's 10 over 100, and that gives me 10%. So I know that 10% of the grid is shaded. For part 2, we've got to find out what percentage of each group voted yes, what percentage voted no, and what percentage voted don't know. So I'm going to have a go at class 4, and then after that you can have a go at class 5 and the staff on a scrap piece of paper. So there's the results of the survey, and there's class 4, so 13 people voted yes, 10 people voted no, and 2 people voted don't know. So the first thing I need to do is I need to find out how many there were in total. So I'm going to add 13, 10 and 2, which gives me 25. So I know I've got 25 in total. So I'm going to start by working out how many people voted yes. So 13 people voted yes, so I know that 13 over 25 people voted yes. So to get from 25 to 100, to give me 100%, I have to times it by 4. So I times 25 by 4 to get to 100, which I also have to do times 13 by 4, which gives me 52. So I've got 52 over 100, which I know is 52%. So 52% of class 4 voted yes. 10 people voted no. So I've got 10 out of 25 voted no. So to get from 25 to 100, I times by 4 again, which means I have to times 10 by 4 this time because I've got 10 people voting no. So 10 times 4 is 40, so I know that it's 40 out of 100, which is 40%. 2 people voted don't know, so that's 2 out of 25. And again, I'm trying to get to 100, so I've got to times 25 by 4 to give me 100, which means I also have to times 2 by 4, which gives me 8, so I know that 8% of people voted don't know. So now I've shown you what to do with class 4. Have a go at class 5 and staff on a piece of paper and see how you get on. So have a go at the work in your Power Maths book, and then once you've done that you can come back and complete this challenge. So this challenge says, Amelia is comparing fractions. Help Amelia to convert the fractions into percentages. And she says, it's more efficient if I change fractions into percentages to compare them. So it says, some of the denominators are greater than 100. I wonder what I can do. And it says, I will multiply and divide the fraction so that the denominator is 100. So have a go at that. And then it said, part B says, is it easier to compare percentages or fractions? Explain your answer. So have a go at those once you've done your work in your Power Maths books. Today's starter is looking at adding and subtracting fractions again. So have a go at these questions, mark your answers and make any corrections. Today's lesson is on comparing fractions, decimals and percentages, and can be found by following the link below or the link on the home learning grid, and it will take you to BBC Bite Size.